So, last night we got a huge information dump on the new Warzone map called Caldera. This is something that I've been looking forward to pretty much since the launch of Verdansk 84, because that was just a reskin of the original Verdansk map, and it didn't really scratch the itch the way we all thought it might. I think we were all led to believe it might have been a bit more of a conversion, but not really much happened there. And we're now just a week away from the launch of this new map, and I've got to say, it feels good to get excited about Warzone again. I've missed it. I've got all the details you need in this video about the new map, so sit back, relax, and get ready to drink in that knowledge. Starting things off then, here's a look at the overall map. It's roughly the same size as Verdansk, I'm told, but the layout is obviously completely different. For starters, because we're heading to an island this time, we've got coastal landmarks all over the place. But there's also plenty of interest in the center of the island as well. Now to the south, we've got the capital city. That looks like one of those super dense urban locations. Plenty of loot is going to be packed in there in all of those buildings. Lots of building-to-building fighting. That's going to be a hot drop for sure. But then we've also got places in the north like Arsenal and Docks. Docks looks like it's actually got a river estuary in there, and that comes from the mines location. There's loads of places here to explore. In the Docks, there's actually a shipping container section that's modelled after the Modern Warfare 2019 version of the shipment map, which is cool to see. So that theme of the older classic 6v6 Call of Duty maps being used as locations in Warzone seems to be continuing. I think that's a great way to just bring in some nostalgia vibes, really. There's two different runways on Caldera. One is called Runway in the northeast of the map, and it's an unmade runway, and it's flanked by a jungle. Not much going on there, but then we've got Airfield down in the southwest of the map. That's a proper made tarmac airstrip, complete with plenty of hangars, all the outbuildings, and an ATC tower, which, by the way, apparently has more than one entry point. So, thank goodness. Thank you, Raven Software. Goodbye, Verdansk ATC tower, and your one elevator of entry. You will not be missed. It's just going to be fun to actually properly explore the new map, this first new map that we've had for Warzone. It's a brand new, fresh experience, and everyone's going to be jumping in together. And that means that it will probably take a little while for players to figure out the best places to land, the best holding spots, the best rotations and such. Finally, something completely different for Warzone. I'm so excited, and it's been sorely needed for a long time. Caldera is launching on December the 8th if you own Call of Duty Vanguard, and December the 9th if you don't. And for that 24-hour period, if you don't own Vanguard, Verdansk isn't going to be there for you to play. You're only going to be able to play Rebirth Island until that early access 24-hour period is over, and then on December the 9th, Rebirth Island will be taken down for a bit, and you'll only be able to play Caldera, and I guess that's probably because the developers want you to experience that new setting and get a proper feel for where Warzone is going for the next 12 months or so. But Rebirth Island will be coming back. It will stay as that smaller secondary map for Warzone. I think it's going to return at some point later in Season 1. Now, just really quickly for those interested, in terms of narrative behind Caldera, the reason we're here on this Pacific island, in the Black Ops Cold War storyline, the CIA task force of Adler, Woods, Mason, and Hudson, they discover a secret underground German World War II bunker under Verdansk, and that's where they meet Captain Butcher, the creator of the Vanguard task force that we see in the Vanguard campaign. He says that the work is never done, alluding to eliminating the Axis forces after World War II, and that the work to eradicate them started in the Pacific, and Caldera is that location. And the year of content that's coming to Warzone, all of that is based around stamping out the last of the Axis resistance, and no doubt there will be a storyline for us to follow, which is pretty cool. So that's the headlines of Caldera. There is a lot more for us to explore, and I'm sure it'll take weeks for people to finally figure out lots of the intricate parts of this map. But what about the gameplay changes that I mentioned in the title of this video? Well, if you're a long-time Warzone player, you'll know that there's been a lot of annoying stuff in this game over the past 18 months, nearly 2 years, that really should have been sorted out by now. But it seems that Raven Software has actually been testing things over the last several months on the Verdansk map. We've had little changes here and there, and now they're sort of bringing a lot of those together in one massive gameplay update for Caldera in an attempt to make the game, I think, more fair and entertaining for everybody. So first up is the complete removal of stopping power rounds. You could still get those, and you can still get them in Verdansk. They're just much rarer than they used to be, but they're now not going to be on Caldera at all, and a nerf is coming to Dead Silence. Now, what this nerf actually is, we don't know at the moment. I'm assuming it's some kind of duration reduction to keep people from abusing it. Maybe removing the restart mechanic on Dead Silence when you kill a player. That would be good as well. Stopping power completely disappearing is massive though. That was one of those key issues with the super fast TTK in Warzone getting even faster. The inconsistency that stopping power provided was quite annoying. So now that that's gone, we'll know that all of their guns, whatever the setup they happen to be running, they're doing their intended damage on targets rather than doing more because you got lucky and you picked up some magical bullets that do more damage. Then stun grenades and heartbeat sensors, they're also being nerfed. If you played the Iron Trials limited time mode on Verdansk, you'll know that stuns got their duration cut in half and the heartbeat sensor had its range nerfed to, I think, 30 meters. So hopefully those changes are the ones we end up seeing. Dual-wield melee weapons like the Kali sticks, those are being nerfed as well. And the weapon butt melee is being nerfed. No longer will it be a 2-hit kill on targets. Hopefully it's something like a 5, 6, or 25 hit on players now, just to make sure you don't get crept up on by somebody using Dead Silence and then they hit you with their weapon and they take you down in 2 hits. Never felt fair to me, so nice to see that they're changing that. Loadout drop markers will only be able to be called in after the first free loadout drop has come onto the map. This is something that I think was active in the most recent Warzone LTM Operation Flashback, and it's dividing players already. Seen lots of takes on social media. Some people, they just want to get their loadout weapons ASAP. It's a core part of Warzone. It's what initially made the mode very, very attractive because you could pick a weapon that you like from multiplayer, bring it into Warzone, and continue to use it as if it was multiplayer. And then there are other people who don't mind a bit of ground loot fighting, maybe a little bit more of the classic Battle Royale style that we first saw with PUBG. I'm sort of in the middle here. I think it's a good idea to maybe limit loadouts early on, but also I probably will miss using my loadout weapons right from the start of the match. But also at the same time, I'm not against ground loot gunfights. In fact, if you play the Iron Trials LTM, you'll know that you probably had more ground loot gunfights in that mode than at any other point during Warzone's life cycle. So, and I actually really enjoyed that experience because the ground loot was still pretty good. It just meant that I couldn't pick my loadout all the time because the loadout costs more and, you know, the whole mode was geared around something slightly different. So I think what will happen, because you can't get your loadout, it means that less people will die early on because you've got to focus on looting, trying to find a good weapon rather than just getting that 10k and going straight for a loadout. So if that means more players making it later into Warzone matches, then I see that as a positive. Although I just want to play the mode and figure out whether this is a good or a bad thing. And then lethal equipment will now do more damage. So I'm assuming like Semtexes and grenades will do more damage than they used to. And then tactical equipment, those will get buffs as well. The snapshot nade is now going to see a radius increase, so you'll see people further away from where the grenade explodes. Stims, they're still in the game. Hopefully they fix the sim glitch, but they will now apply a slight movement boost when they're applied. And decoy grenades will now emit rubber bullets that will deal just enough damage to annoy enemies if you get too close to them. Then we've got some changes to the gas mask. Apparently it won't interrupt other actions as much anymore, like plating up or reloading, which is nice. So many times that got me killed on the edge of the gas circle. And it will now work against the newly introduced gas canisters that you can find on the Caldera map. These can be picked up and carried with 2 hands. You have to hold them. You can't put them in your inventory or anything like that. And then they can be used in a few different ways. You can light the fuse and throw them like a grenade, and they'll explode into a gas cloud. Or apparently you can attach them to somebody ascending a zipline and then detonate it at the top of a building to deter campers. They sound pretty cool, so interested to try those out. Shallow water will now mean not instant death on Caldera. You can actually go in the water. You can't go into the sea, but you can go through the rivers and the different bodies of water on the map itself. If you crouch through the water, you'll gain the effects of cold-blooded, and it'll be harder to see enemy footsteps if you're using the tracker perk because under the water they won't show as easily. Also, fire-based equipment will now cause smoke when they hit the water. So that means like Molotovs and thermites, if you throw them in the water, they'll basically turn into smoke grenades, which is pretty cool. And then finally, for the big changes, we have new contracts. We've got one called the Supply Drop Contract, which, as you might have guessed, nets you a supply crate, but anybody can grab it once it hits the map. You're going to know the location, it will be on your map, although other squads won't know it. But if they see it coming in, just like any normal loadout, for example, they can make tracks over towards it. Then there's Big Game Bounty, targeting the player with the most kills in the lobby at that time, and that'll be activated only once per game, I believe, or maybe only once per game per person who is leading the match at that time. Not clear on the statement, but I think there's something in there to stop people continuously being hit by the same thing. And then there's top secret contracts, which are redacted of information until you pick them up, but they will reward you handsomely if you complete it. Restocks and resurgences from Rebirth Island, they will make their way onto the Caldera map, as well as cash drops, which you might have seen during the Operation Flashback event. Also, the 10 attachment redacted weapon crates will be active on Caldera, so expect to see a few people running around with that top tier 10 attachment weaponry. There is a lot more information that I could put in this video, but I think that covers all of the important gameplay related stuff, and it is just a week or so to go until that new map launches. And whilst I have taken a couple of months break from Warzone because I wasn't really feeling Verdansk anymore, and there was some various problems with the meta, and I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to go and play Battlefield for a bit. I am actually excited now to come back to Warzone and jump in and make some videos with my friends again, like we did back in 2020 when Warzone first launched. New map, new experiences. I can't wait to get going. Thanks for watching the video. Drop a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next one.